Have you ever tried to get a group of people to do something together? Maybe it was trying to get people in your family over the holidays to play a board game. Maybe it was trying to work with a team at work. Sometimes it works and it's great. Everyone knows what they're doing, everyone's having a good time, everyone's bringing their own ideas and personality to what's going on, and it's adding to the project, it's adding to the fun. Like a sports team, it's working beautifully together, doing one-touch passes of the ball or the puck down as they go, each person intuitively knowing where to be and what to do. Beautiful. Or like an orchestra with all the different instruments and a choir singing all the different voice parts, making gorgeous music together. So fun. But other times, it feels absolutely impossible. Nobody can agree on anything. People's differences of opinion and preference and personality seem impossible to bring together. It's just this confusing, frustrating mess. These experiences highlight a basic fact about our spiritual reality. We're not all the same. In fact, each of us is unique. At least in some ways, we are different from every single person that's ever been before and every single person that will ever be born. And sometimes this feels like a good thing, and sometimes it feels terrible. Today we're going to talk about how the Lord miraculously can bring us all together in spite of all those differences and help us be part of a beautiful, interdependent, useful whole that's called the grand man, or the universal human. At the end of the book of Revelation, as we read in our lesson, John has this vision of the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. And every single detail of the description of the holy city has symbolic meaning about the nature of heaven and the church, including even the dimensions of the city, which are measured by an angel with a golden reed. And at the end of the description of the dimensions, John writes, "And he measured her wall 144 cubits, the measure of a man, which is of an angel." And the teachings for the new church explain that these words contain a key for understanding spiritual reality. All of reality, at the largest scale and the smallest scale, is in the human form. The measure of the holy city is the measure of an angel, is the measure of a man. Whether we zoom all the way in or zoom all the way out, if we know what to look for, we will see the human form at all levels. This is because the Lord our God and Creator is human, and in the highest sense, His humanness is present and pervading all levels of creation. And knowing this fact about reality can help us understand a lot of important things. The book Heaven and Hell tells us this: "It is a secret not yet known in this world that heaven, taken in a single all-inclusive grasp, reflects a single individual. Knowing this, and knowing particulars and details about it, is the hallmark of angelic intelligence there. In fact, many other things follow from it, and do not come clearly and distinctly to mind without this as their general principle." So let's explore some of the implications of this important truth about reality that the Lord has revealed to us. But before we get into some of the details of that, let's talk briefly about terminology. The traditional term used for this concept is the grand man. This is an English translation of the Latin phrase maximus homo. Maximus is a superlative for biggest, greatest, utmost. And homo is a Latin word that can be translated as man or person or even human being. And this phrase, maximus homo, is translated in a variety of ways by different translators. Greatest man, universal human, or grand man. And interestingly, the teachings for the new church don't just use one phrase for this. There's a number of other synonymous phrases that are used for this concept. Magnus homo, unus homo, divinus homo, and coelestis homo, or great person, one person, divine person, and heavenly person. Practically speaking, the phrase that people seem to use most often still is grand man, and that's why we'll use this in this sermon. But as you hear that phrase, I invite you to not think of grand as like fancy, like grand ballroom, but rather grand as in overarching, like grand unifying theory, grand human. And also try to hear the superlative in it, the greatest, the most truly human, the grand human. So, there's some terminology. You can argue with me later. But one of the implications of this idea of all of us being part of one grand man is that it can help us to value people who are very different from us. We are all going to tend to want to find people who are like us, people who get it, people who, when you hear them talking about something you recognize, you think, those are my people. Those are my sports nerds. Those are my Star Trek people, or whatever our thing, like, those are my people. And the teachings for the new church say that this is how things work in heaven, too. Kindred souls gravitate toward each other spontaneously, as it were, for with each other they feel as though they are with their own family, at home, while with others they feel like foreigners, as though they were abroad. When they are with kindred souls, they enjoy the fullest freedom and find life totally delightful. We all want to find people who we can relax with, be ourselves with, can work together with easily. We just have to be careful about how we view people who aren't part of our crew, aren't part of our people, those people. And the idea of all of us being part of the same human body can help us to see that we need those people who are different from us. The Apostle Paul, writing in the early days of the Christian church, expressed this idea really well in his first letter to the church in Corinth. Here's what he said: "If the foot should say, 'Because I am not a hand, I am not of the body,' is it not of the body? And if the ear should say, 'Because I am not an eye, I am not of the body,' is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleases. And if they were all one member, where would the body be? But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, 'I have no need of you,' nor again the head to the feet, 'I have no need of you.' God composed the body, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should all have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Christ, and members individually." So maybe you and your friends are like the eyes of the grand man. You love seeing things clearly, understanding things, taking in as much light as possible. Other people you know might not be so into understanding things. They might find that kind of boring. They might get somewhat frustrated by long conversations that are just about trying to understand things. Maybe they are part of the hands of the grand man, and they want to make stuff. They want to do stuff. They want to accomplish things. But like Paul said, the eye cannot say to the hand, "I don't need you," and vice versa. We need each other with our different loves and our different skill sets. A body without hands is going to be in trouble. The same goes for a body without eyes, or ears, or a spleen, or toenails. We need all the different parts working together, doing very different things. Another implication of the idea of the grand man is that we might work closely together with people who are different from us, or we might work quite separately. The eyes and the hand are pretty far from each other in the body and perform quite different functions from each other. But then again, good hand-eye coordination is pretty important for accomplishing anything. Another example, the functions of the digestive tract and the bones in the spine are pretty different cells, pretty different functions, and yet, of course, the body would die without a digestive tract or without the bones of the spine. Now, intriguingly, the book Heaven and Hell tells us that all the communities or societies of heaven communicate with each other, but not through open interaction, it says. Instead, they communicate through spheres or auras. What exactly that means, we can talk about another time, but there's not direct communication between all parts of heaven, between all angels in heaven. And we might imagine this like our awareness of people from other cultures on the opposite side of the globe. We might know that there are people in Mongolia or in Indonesia, but most of us don't know much about them or their culture or what they do. And when we don't speak the same language, it can be difficult to communicate. And even if we did find someone who could translate the words for us, that's just the beginning. Different cultures value very different things. It takes a long time of living in a foreign place to really start to understand that different culture and why they value what they do and how those values show up in what they do and what they don't do. And if you take the time, let's say you took the time to really understand a particular culture and its language and its history and its practices, then you will have understood just one more culture of the thousands of diverse cultures from all around the world. We cannot expect to truly understand people from all the different cultures, all the different parts of the grand man. However, something that can be delightful to experience is how a shared use can bring people of different cultures together. For example, one engineer might meet another engineer from the other side of the world, and they might not speak the same language, but if they can find a way to communicate, they might say, "Oh, this guy, he speaks my language." They've got that shared engineer frame of mind. And this goes for any use. Teachers, lawyers, computer programmers, mothers, pastors. We can connect with people from different cultures because we're engaged in the same use. And we might even be part of the same heavenly society or community. Listen to this passage from the teachings of the New Church. We on earth have a position in the Lord's kingdom too, and it likewise depends on the character of our life and on our state. It makes not the slightest difference whether some of us are far apart on the planet. Even if the distance is many thousands of miles, we can still be together in the same community. Isn't that intriguing? Whether we need to work closely with people who are quite different from us will likely depend on our role in the grand man. If you're part of some large muscle community, like the bicep, it might be that you mostly work with other bicep people. And maybe you work with a few tendon angels who are kind of similar to you, but those tendon angels are the ones who interact with those bone people who are quite different, those hard, stiff, bony people. You just interact with other muscle people and other tendon people. But if you're part of the lips of the grand man, then you're probably going to have to work well with the angels of the teeth. Because the lips and the teeth are both very involved in eating and in speaking. And a body would have difficulty eating or speaking well if it was missing its lips or its teeth. But lips and teeth are very different. Lips are gentle, teeth are hard. Lips let things in and hold them carefully. Teeth cut things in pieces and grind them up. If you're a gentle lip spirit, let's say, can you appreciate the role of an incisive tooth angel? Or if you're a grinding, crushing molar angel, can you appreciate the vulnerable flexibility of a lip angel? You're going to have to work together probably, and you're going to see things a little bit differently. Now, what if you don't know your role in the grand man yet? Well, there are lots of reasons why it can be hard to figure this out. For one thing, because every group at every level is in the human form, we might be playing different roles depending on what scale we're looking at. We can imagine someone who, in their family, is the one who gets things done, and so they're kind of the hands of that family. But in their professional capacity in their community, they're in the medical field, and so they're part of the immune system. But in their team at work, they play the role of a listening ear for their colleagues. But at the level of their country, they're part of a country with a lot of freedom of speech, and so like the British at the time the teachings for the New Church were written, they are people who are in more spiritual light because of freedom of speech. And so in that regard, maybe at a country level, they're part of the eyes of the grand man. But maybe that person's also part of a church where the word is read and the Lord is known, and the teachings for the new church say that people like that are part of the heart and lungs of the grand man. But people from our planet tend to be more external, more like the skin, and so maybe at a planet level, this person is part of the skin of the grand man. Anyway, you get the idea. Who knows which role we're playing depending on what level we're zoomed in and out to. And another way to picture this multiplicity of our possible roles is to zoom in on a particular part of the body. Imagine someone is part of the skin of the grand man. There's still a huge variety in how they might be serving that use. There are different layers of our skin that perform different functions. There are lots of different things in the skin, like hair follicles, sweat glands, nerve endings. And if you zoom down to the level of an individual skin cell, again, you'll find a lot of variety in the different functions, from the nucleus to the mitochondria and all the different parts. So it's no wonder it's complicated to figure out what our role should be in our family, in our community, in the world, or ultimately in the grand man. But it's fine if we don't know what our role is or should be, because the Lord's working on it. Our lesson we read from Divine Providence said, the inmost goal of divine providence is that a person may be in some particular place in heaven, or in some particular place in the divine human in heaven. And our job is to allow the Lord to lead us. That same passage goes on to say, this goal is achieved with people whom the Lord is able to lead to heaven. For everyone who allows themselves to be led to heaven is prepared for their place in heaven. As we muddle our way through our lives, we will gradually find things that we love to do. And we will find things that we don't love to do quite so much. We will also find people that we connect with easily, and find people who feel quite foreign to us. And this is fine, as long as we shun the feelings of contempt for those other people, and really work to see the value in what they bring to the world. If we're shunning evils and trying to keep the Ten Commandments, then the Lord will be able to lead us towards our use and toward our heaven. And He will help us to find other people to work with, and He will help us to be able to connect with and work with people who are quite different from us. Listen to one more beautiful passage from the Teachings for the New Church. Goodness gathers together everyone in the heavens, and angels are differentiated by what good they do. Still, it is not the angels who gather themselves, but the Lord, the source of all that is good. He leads them, unites them, differentiates them, and keeps them in freedom to the extent that they are engaged in what is good. So He keeps every individual in the life of his or her own love, faith, intelligence, and wisdom, and therefore in happiness. The Lord is great at group projects. He can help each of us to use our talents, to value other people, to work together. In His love and in His wisdom, He can find a place for everyone who wants to serve the common good. And when we get to play our part as part of a larger human whole, then we're experiencing exactly what the Lord wants us to experience, which is heaven. Amen.